Hey, it's Fred Firestone with the Punderdome, and we're up close and personal today with somebody I'm quite excited to talk with, Jerzy Gwiazdowski, aka Do Pun to Others, aka Jargon Slayer, aka Lingo Star, aka Lingo Quar, and now aka Lingo Star. I have to say, Jerzy, what a pleasure it is to speak with you. You are with 37 opportunities to unveil a prize. You are number one on the all-time Dome leaderboard, and that dates back to May 2011. So welcome, and glad you're here.
Thank you so much for having me, Fred. It's nice to hear all of my former pun monikers listed in a row. I think there were more. There were a few that only lasted one show, but those are the main ones, and those are the ones that have stuck
Excellent.
the longest.
We're gonna drill down on those and what your punning style is and how you've been so successful. So anyway, let's start with your something must have inspired you in your childhood or the environment you were brought up in that allowed you to develop this pun ability.
Oh, yeah, definitely. I mean, a lot of it comes from family, of course. So my parents are both very funny and creative people. Puns get called dad jokes often, but I think, to be a good punner, you need to have a mother and father that gave you some of that good DNA. So really, I would say comes from my four grandparents on each side. So on my dad's side, my paternal grandfather was a heck of a punner, and the time that my brothers and I, and my dad, and my mom all went down to another pun contest. Sorry, I'm going to talk about another pun contest.
No, that's great.
In Texas.
Bring it on,
we
man.
went and stopped off with my then 90-something-year-old grandfather and told him we were going down, and we did like a practice round with him.
Yeah.
My grandpa, Stanley Gwiazdowski, and then my grandmother on that side, so incredibly creative and witty and funny as well, and also a wonderful eye roller at the bad jokes, so I got a lot from the paternal grandparents. And then on my mother's side, my grandfather, my mother's side, was a magician, and so he was really a showman. He was fantastic at hiding, the trick in plain sight. So I think of a well-written pun as a little bit of a magic trick as well, because you're doing something impressive right under people's noses, and he was really good at the reveal. And I think that's what makes me maybe good at the competition part of this. And then my of the four, the one who's still living, my grandmother on my mom's side, my grandmother Patricia, is an incredibly funny and kind of quietly subversive and observant person. So she's the one who always kind of drop in with a little comment offhand. It's a little sneaky. So I think I get elements of that from those people in my family. And then I'd say, I'm a fan of writers and musicians and comics and authors and, actors and people that use language and play with language. So I was listening to people like Victor Borga when I was really little, and my dad would play me those videos. And, I'm into, the lyrics and like things like rap music, and, when wordplay becomes a part of that. And I'm impressed and seek out wordplay from people, my broader family, my broader artistic family, in addition to that. So I'm glad to find like-minded people out there, which is why I was so glad to find you and the Punderdome.
Well, obviously, so glad that you have done the Dome many times and so successfully.
Quite a few.
Well, what's intriguing to me is that there's so many components of your family that you drew from to be effective at the Punderdome. I mean, it's not just being able to pun, but the reveal. I am actually an amateur prestidigitator. So that's a magician, by the way, the big word for magician.
Yes, you can do the legerdemain. Yes.
That's so I'm intrigued with what you said in terms of the reveal, because in large part, and we'll look at this, the setup and the reveal allows people to say, oh my freaking God, what did he just do? I like to tell people, the people that we have at the Punderdome, they're not eye rollers. They work on the side, they're side splitters. And in large part, it's because of the ability to set up in the reveal. So I'm so intrigued that this resonates so much with me, what you've said.
Oh, that's very exciting to hear. Yeah, we haven't really talked much about that side of the family, and my maternal grandfather, Grandpa Gordy, which was also his stage name. And he was a children's magician and entertainer, and also worked with the Society of American Magicians and things like that. So, and I did a lot of that stuff when I was a teenager too. I think, as all teen boys do, they tinker around with a magic set and things. So, but I had somebody really to look up to teach me kind of the old school approach to it.
Interesting. And how it all fits together in this environment.
Yeah.
How about your mom and your dad? Are they punters?
Oh, big time. I mean, my mom is the consummate, like, she's a fan. She will make the jokes, and she's very clever, very creative. She's an artist by trade. My father's a big punter. So I'd say my mom is funnier and my dad is punnier. And so I got a good combo between the two.
Excellent. All right. And now, do they take pride in your pun accomplishments?
Oh yeah, they've never been to Punderdome. Well, they have been to virtual Punderdome now that we've been doing it online. They've never been to Punderdome in New York City, but they've traveled to, as I mentioned earlier, a different pun contest in Texas quite a few times, which traditionally happens around Mother's Day, and it became a family affair after a while. So my brothers, who also do this occasionally, we would all go down and make it a bit of a family trip. So that's a pretty fun thing. But my family, yeah, they love it and they support it. And my extended family, my aunts and uncles and grandparents, have all are all punny.
Bring pride to the fam.
I guess it's a certain kind of a pride. It's a very niche pride. It's a boutique pride. I don't know if it's the broadest, the most people would be proud of, but there's some pride there.
Hey, while we're on the topic, tell us about the O. Henry Pun-Off. That's the World Championships, and you've done quite well with that. You were referring to that when these trips you made. That was to the O. Henry.
Yeah, it's the O. Henry Pun-Off World Championships, which is their official title. That's their trademarked title. I don't know if it is in fact the World Championships, because there are contests all over the world. But there are people that visit the O. Henry, and I think it must be the longest running down there in Austin, Texas. It's been going for 40 plus years now, and this is how I found Punderdome. I was booked for the O. Henry Pun-Off to compete in the two events down there, and I wanted to practice. So I went on Google and I looked up NYC Pun Contest, and I found Punderdome. And so about 3 or 4 days before I took my flight down to Austin all alone, with no idea what to expect, I did Punderdome, and little did I know how much of a part of my life, my friendship, my creative outlet, that Punderdome would become for me, But thank you, Google, I guess, for introducing me. And that's how I met you and Joe and all the competitors that still do it.
Let's look at it a little bit. I think that was 2012.
2012, yeah, May 2012.
So tell me about your thoughts with the first Punderdome you went to, and when did you realize this was something where you could really maneuver the mechanism, or the pun mechanism, I should say?
I have to admit, I did go in with a lot of confidence, because I've been doing this a long time, not necessarily competitively, but I'm also a performer and a writer, before that. So I've been in front of big crowds before. I've been in things. And so I wasn't really nervous about getting up in front of people, or my ability to come up with puns and construct them. And I had been practicing and prepping and doing a lot of writing for my little monologue piece that I was going to do down in Austin. So I was confident, but what I was amazed with was how many other clever and interesting people from all walks of life were there. So I was a little intimidated. I believe I ended up coming in second place to Noah Smith, the Pink Panther, who did one of these interviews as well. And I did blank in the final moments, in the final round. I had a bad final round because I think I got in my head. So nowadays I'm better. I'm cool under pressure. I'm a little jaded, right? I'm the kind of old guard of the competition. But then I was the young newcomer, and everyone else had been doing it for a year, but I made friends that I'm still close with to this day. That first night.
And then after that, did you come back regularly? I know that.
Yeah, I just kept coming back.
Right, great.
I mean, I've been on and off work, or I've been out of town, or things like that, but pretty regularly, with a few, a couple months gaps here and there for 9 years. Wow.
Interesting is that, my God. So you were 2012, that might've been the first, we started May 2011. So it's interesting when you compare what you just did in May. You faced off in the finals with the Pink Panther, aka Noah Smith, who you just referred to, a dome number 123.
That's wild.
It was amazing what the longevity that you've had, and he's had now since we've been virtual.
It's so great to be able to have other folks come in. I mean, Noah, particularly, who moved to Ohio, and that was 2012, I think, that he moved. So it was quite a while ago. And now he's participating again in folks that have left for LA, or that have never been to the Punderdome, but are punters from all over the world and all over the country get to participate. It's really cool.
Well, I want to talk a little bit about what your process is, and just by way of background. In the Tournament of Pun Champions, we give you 2 minutes to prep. I give you a topic. You have no idea what the topic is. You have 2 minutes to prep on your whiteboard, and then 2 minutes to do your pun stand-up. So instead of drilling deep in terms of what your process is, I think it would make most sense for the viewer to look at an actual example of a 2-minute pun run that you did. So let's see if I hit the right button here. Okay. All right, here we go. So this is Punderdome number 122, was April 2021. The topic was fish under the sea, and you had 2 minutes to prep on the topic. So what I'd like to do is just show it, and then we'll dissect it in terms of what process you employ to be so successful in this 2-minute investment of time. Okay.
Okay.
Here we go.
Hey everyone, thanks for doing this topic, Fred. I always like to share my thoughts on current events. I have something that happened to me recently, and I matched with someone on a dating app, and it's been a while since I've been out in public. I didn't know if it was a fluke. I didn't want to flounder, but we decided to go out. I didn't want to make an enemy of her after she asked me, so I decided, let's go to the farm. The subject of last topic. It's a good place to see horses, if nothing else. And I went out with her, but she immediately got physical. She gave me 1 tickle, she gave me 2 tickles, and by the end, that's right, she gave me 10 tickles. I was really upset with her naughty lust, and I thought that it was a bunch of carp. I wanted to back out and wail. Let me tell you what I did. I saw a crack in her armor. I escaped, and I was able to go home and do exactly what I like to do, which is work out alone without any physical human contact. I was able to sit up 5 times and plank 10 times, which I was very proud about. And bailing out on that date was the best thing that I ever did.
Oh my gosh. Oh, hold on. 1 second. Let me see. You want to turn that off?
Our next one.
Oh, I thought you queued up the applause just for our interview here. That was.
Oh no, let's see.
Minute and a half on the clock.
All right. All right, good. All right, there we go. So what blows me away, many things. You were given this topic, and instead of just coming up with a series of puns on items within the broad category, you weave a whole freaking story. So you grab people's attention, you weave this story, and then also, when we'll talk about this later, you ended with 20 seconds to go. So there's so many things I could comment on, but let me throw it back to you. So what do you do when you get this topic? What's your mental gymnastics?
Well, okay, a couple things. First, I'm surprised that you picked this one, particularly because my memory of this round was that I was in fact floundering, and you'll notice I'm umming and ahhing a lot, and I've done this a lot, right? I've done a lot of pun contests in a lot of categories. So there are there's like some base puns you can go to. And I think during this one, I really didn't know where I was going to go with it. So there's a lot of filler and a lot of ums and ahs. And I was looking down, I have a little like dry erase kind of section of my desk right here that I was writing on. And I can see myself kind of trying to piece together where I'm going to go. And it's like, oh, and then I did this. And my setups are a lot longer than usual. So I'm surprised that this is the one that was the example, only because I'm very critical of myself, but let
me just throw something in real quickly, is that you are critical, but to the observer, it is rock and roll heaven, brother. We're not aware of we're aware of the way that you've integrated this story and captured the interest of the viewer and listener, and you have them. It's just amazing. So anyway, that's my comeback to that.
I appreciate that. No, I think there's some good ones in there. And I think probably what I do every round is I'll come up with as many prompts on the topic as possible. Mm-hmm. And there are kind of some standard words. There's like some standard, okay, flounder. And, there's ones that I've made before and I've heard other people make before. We've done fish before, right? In the Punderdome, Fred. So,
yes, we have.
So there's a kind of, there's like a repertory of puns that it's like, all right, check that one off. And you kind of list those and you throw them in if you can. But what I love to do is, if I can, find weird different words, find multisyllabic words or phrases or things that are a little more niche. That could be like maybe the closer or the big laugh line or the little bit of it's a thinker, And so I just try to come up with as many prompts on the topic as possible. And I don't really think of puns during the 2 minutes, almost ever, really? Or at the prompts. Very end.
So just
I just write words
that fall within the category.
Yeah, just like interesting words that fall within the category. But I don't sit there writing puns.
You don't. Okay.
Almost ever. Although if there's ones that I know what it's going to be right away, then I'll kind of put it in parentheses next to it. But I just write the words, and then I kind of just look at them, and maybe 5 or 6 will jump out to me, and it's like, okay, I could make that and that and that and that. And sometimes they're totally unconnected one-liners, and then the segment just becomes one-liner, 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 like a little bit more of like a Mitch Hedberg or a sort of that kind of stand-up comedy, right? Or even like Rodney Dangerfield, right? Where he just kind of goes one. But if there's a few that fit in a topic, it is good because it helps people follow the story. And that's where the magic trick kind of thing comes in, because then they get invested in the story. And so there is a double meaning. Because what I really like about puns is when they're funny, when the wordplay is on the punchline and not in the setup. Because sometimes people will kind of say the pun like, oh, this person, I was in the sea and I made an enemy of them, but then they turn out to be my friend. And it's like, well, you made the same pun that I did, but you got to put it in the punchline. You know, you got to set it up and then kind of knock it down. So I like to see if I can give some meaning to a story that'll kind of give people the true double meaning of it. And then if I can't do that, then you do a little bit of a setup and then a little bit of the punchline, but you got to hide it. So it's
really it's fascinating what you say. It just the concept of, you know, if somebody just said, here's a pun, I mean, that's an eye roll that produces the eye roll reflex, as opposed to the side split is where you do the reveal. And then
not all puns are jokes. Most of them aren't, I would say. They're just things that get stuck in your head, you know? And that's where the writing comes in, because noticing that something sounds like something else, you can't really write a pun. You can't steal a pun from somebody else. They're there. You find them, you find puns. But then I think my job is to bring somebody the thing that I found. So in that little clip, there's the section that says, I say, I do naughty lust for Nautilus. Mm-hmm. And I think I could have set that one up better, because it's a bit of it. You get it a little bit after I say it, maybe. But then I say 1 tickle, 2 tickles, 5 tickles, 10 tickles, and it sets it up. And then you get the kind of the punchline, the release. So if I were to redo it, I would figure out my Nautilus pun a little bit better.
Well, I have to say I have an asterisk here, and that is that that particular round you won. You went on to win the championship of that dome. So I mean, it does work.
It was a tough field.
Let me ask you this. So you said that when you write you just write prompts down. Mm-hmm. And sometimes you don't develop a pun. You ever go into the 2-minute stand-up without the puns developed?
Oh, all the time.
So
most of the time. Most of the time.
Amazing.
I think that's what was happening in that clip. At least maybe I had 3 of them, or I knew I wanted to do 10 tickles at the end. And when I said flounder and all that stuff at the top, that was like, you know, to me, I'm like, oh, that's a little overdone, you know, saying flounder in the fish round. Like, I don't want to flounder, but I did it because no one had done it yet. And I needed to buy time. And I just kind of wanted to get some volume in there. That's the other thing, is ending with 20 seconds left. Yeah. I felt like I was hemming and hawing a little bit, but I didn't have any more. So I just said, I'm going to leave on a high. I'm going to stick the landing and get out of there, rather than.
I love it. Stick the landing, because there's some people I know that they think they need to. Litmus test of value is filling up the 2 minutes, and you're saying it's not. You stick the landing. That's a lot more important than filling the space. Right.
You don't want people to feel like they've seen everything you have. So, and especially for voters, it's like if you give them a little bit, it's like, wow, I got to see more of this guy. What else has he got there?
Oh my God. So tell me the difference between being live and doing it virtually. I mean, is it a big difference? We've got that fake applause, but you probably knew that was fake.
Yeah, I knew it was fake. Because when I do it, it's louder in person.
I don't have a response other than you're right.
It gets so loud. It's really fun. I mean, there's nothing that can beat being in front of the full crowd. There are pros and cons, I think, to the live versus online. I mean, it's great because the commute is easy for me. It's great because I can control my environment a little bit more. I can do my stupid, character with the sunglasses, and I kind of play the villain these days now a little bit. I kind of have a persona. Which has been paying off well in this. And it's nice because I can just go and I don't have to worry about the crowd, like drowning it out or not getting it, or some people getting it and other people laughing. And so you don't have that really close relationship with the call and response with the crowd, which in some cases for me has been very positive and other times has been a little bit antagonistic.
Well, yeah,
when I
think
feel like they don't appreciate my art and I'll yell at the crowd. But usually it's very positive. And those are the differences in terms of the crowd, but also the competitors. I mean, a lot of the folks that are doing it virtually have also done it in person, and some of them have never before. So we have a lot of these guys from the UK and from Australia and
Malaysia.
Indonesia.
Malaysia.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then all over the country. So that's fantastic that there's a community and people who can watch something and do something and participate in something. And also like we can go up against each other and we can see if it's just, if I'm the best in New York or if I'm the best of the people that have, from the world. So that's fun too. It kind of makes it raise the
these guys from around the world.
Oh yeah. I love it. I mean, there are other contests and other shows that I like to do. I mean, I mentioned the one in Texas, but there's a Australian comedy troupe that does a pun podcast where they do punny headlines. They like improve or they improve or try to guess pun headlines for shows. And I've done that one 2 or 3 times over the years. And then there's a show called Pun It, and those guys they're like a little bit younger. They do also like battle rap stuff, but they have a pun game show where they take 2 categories and you just have to come up with one pun and it goes round to round. And it's really fun. So I like participating in the kind of international competitions and different formats and stuff, because I love the Punderdome format. I love the O. Henry format, but it's cool to try new ones as well.
Your skill set works in a number of different environments.
And to spice it up, spice up my pun life.
So I want to talk about spicing it up a little bit. You've noticed about 1.5 years ago, I started this thing. Can you beat a dome champ?
Right.
And so we used to take people out of the audience and give them 20 minutes prep and do a one-on-one pun off with a Punderdome champ of their choosing. Okay. And of course, the Punderdome champ would get no prep, and he or she would learn of the topic when it was introduced, and the 2-minute pun off would begin.
Right.
So I think it's particularly interesting what I contacted you before. I think we did this a Zoom, or how much time would you give somebody prep? And you agreed to give this person 24 hours notice on the topic, and you had no notice. When you do these things, when people come in and they've got 20 minutes, 30 minutes, 24 hours prep time, and you have no prep time, does that make you anxious and nervous? Or are you thinking, bring it?
I'm thinking bring it. I believe that person beat me though, didn't he?
Yeah, they did.
Yeah.
I think 24 hours.
I don't always do well in those things, but I like it. I mean, I feel like I don't have that much to prove with my pun Bonafides these days. So, I've got enough trophies from all the different things and, stuff, fake New York Post covers and trophies with horses' butts on them and clappers and disco balls and t-shirts and stuff. Like, I don't feel like I have to prove it. No. So I just like meeting people and going head to head against them. And I guess I'm glad when they pick me too. So I feel like they usually won't pick the top, winner or whatever. And so I always make myself available for it. And I'm always a little disappointed when it isn't me, and a little relieved because I do tend to lose those a lot. But I think it's fun when people come up with this stuff.
When you had 24 hours notice, but other than that, you do real well. I mean,
I usually do pretty well. Yeah. I mean, I don't lose them all, but I lose more than I would care to, but also that means the person did great. And if I meet somebody that loves doing this and wants to take me on, like, that's fun. It's just fun to play with them.
It's interesting, you see, because when we bring the challenger on and then we introduce all the dome champs and how many wins, and, I build up from 1, 2, 8, 19, and 37-time champ, Lingo Quar, Lingo Star, or anyway, it's interesting when people say, I want the top guy.
I bring it on. And for me, I like to add another, this is true of all Punderdome, because I've been doing it so long. I try not to repeat myself or come up with, I said that there's the repertory of puns. Yeah. It's almost like chess. Like, it's like, oh, you're doing this move, you're doing this opening. It's better than chess, and it requires more intelligence, but it's like, oh, this person's doing this pun. I've seen that one before, but it's always great when you can come up with new ones or other people make new ones that you've never heard before. So a lot of my reactions when we're live are, oh yeah, there's that one. Check it off the list. There's that one. Check it off the list. But what really excites me is when returning and new competitors come up with something new. So I try not to use those if I can. And even I've gone through whole shows where I've won and been very disappointed in myself because they're all puns that I'd made before, especially when we get like cities and states, which comes up a lot.
Yeah.
That, because I go to that well a lot, and I did a routine on it and stuff, a lot of geography things. So I try to compete against myself too at the same time. So sometimes I have lost because I didn't want to make the same, Missouri loves company pun that I've made 1,000 times. And instead I try to do something about Maryland or whatever.
I guess it keeps it exciting for you and fresh. I mean, if you're always looking to strive to go further, as opposed to, well, I've got one from 3 years ago I can use here, it's more exciting for you. And I think that translates to the audience, that enthusiasm and excitement going where no person has gone or you've never gone.
Yeah, exactly. That's what's fun about it, is blazing those new trails and discovering something new,
The grandparents would be very excited and happy.
Oh, I think so.
So let me ask you this. Do you find that, having a real presence in New York, you ever been on the street and somebody says, I know you?
Yeah, it's happened quite a bit over the years. At the last virtual Punderdome, I think I mentioned a time where I work at a college, I teach at a college, and somebody in the faculty lounge or the faculty center was like, do I know you from Punderdome? And they sort of said it as if it was a conspiracy. And I replied, yes, but keep it. So even in the halls of higher education, there are pun fans and Punderdome fans, but it happens on the street. It happens when I'm out. It happens, at any of my other jobs where I'm dealing with the public, attending bar and things. People are like, oh, I know you from Punderdome. It happened to me the other night. Somebody who I work with, her partner was like, we actually met you years ago after Punderdome. And
wow.
And I sat bolt upright in the middle of the night and I realized that's where I know him from, Punderdome.
Do people remember the exact pun? I mean, do they ever come to you? I remember 3 years ago when you said this. Do you hear that kind of thing?
Oh, all the time.
Amazing.
Even other competitors, other contestants. Yeah. And I don't remember. So, I don't. They just, because I need to get them out of my system. I think I said it, maybe it was before we were recording, but I'm exercising demons. So it's good to get them out. And then once they're gone, I just let them fly. And then maybe they'll come back and I'll remember them if I think about it again and during a topic. But someone will say, oh, do you remember the pun that you made about the carburetor and the brake fluid and the Mitsubishi? And it's like, no, I don't remember that at all, but I'm glad it was, I'm glad you did.
Tell me a little bit when you said exercising demons. Is this a demon at all? I mean, does this plague you or does it excite you, or what part do puns play other than what we see?
Oh, well, I like it, but I think I said earlier, not every pun is a joke.
Yeah.
Right. So there's just this little voice in your head where you're just noticing things. Oh, this sounds like this, or there's that kind of thing that happens. And I notice it with people in my family and other friends that do this, other competitors in the show, where you're having a conversation, but then you'll lose them a little bit. It's like, oh, they're trying to think of a pun. They're not listening to this right now. And they get that look in their eye. And I don't really get that look in my eye anymore when I'm in conversations with people or at work or, what have you, because I have a place where I do that. So it, for me, has been a really nice compartmentalization of that, to have a creative, several creative outlets for it.
So when you're talking to someone, you're present and you're engaging with them. But if you're always thinking of a pun, you're not present in the conversation.
Yeah. And it's fun. I love the lateral thinking. I love the playing with language. I love noticing it. And I still do occasionally. I will make puns in my life, but it's not that thing where I'm the annoying guy that's constantly making puns at work.
Oh no.
Yeah, I can't do that anymore. And it's great to have this outlet to exercise those demons. So it's a little bit of a demon, but it's a compulsion, and it's
compartmentalized it. So where it becomes a demon and gets in the way of a relationship, you put that aside and you can focus on what you want to focus on. So
yeah, people break up with you if you make too many puns. It happens. So you really gotta keep that under wraps.
Wow. Well, it was really exciting. Sorry, go on.
That was mostly a joke.
Oh, taken as that. So coming up June 2nd, you're looking at Unveil number 38.
If I'm lucky.
Yeah.
We've got some strong competitors coming through this round. So here's hoping. I'll keep doing it as long as I can, as long as I keep getting that joy out of it and seeing my friends and seeing you.
Any final pun comments or you want to share?
Well, Fred, I would want to say just thank you for creating this this goofy little community and this show. I mean, I know it's become a part of your life, and you spend a lot of time working on it and building it and growing it, and I really appreciate it. I know that everybody else, I've made lifelong friends through this show, and I get to either virtually or in person once a month get in front of hundreds of people that scream and applaud at me when I make puns instead of, you know, throw things and groan and break up with me. So it's great. And so thank you for
Well,
fostering that and creating it and giving us a place to do this weird thing that we like to do.
it's a pleasure, and it's such a kick to see the win-win for everybody. You know, the win for you, the win for people in the crowd. I mean, it just it's fun to hear about. You know,
And
it's,
people
nobody
love it.
gets hurt. You know,
There are people watching this video right now that are for some reason want to know what I think about puns and how I do Punderdome. And to those people, I say, what is wrong with you? And also thank you for watching, because it really gives me a good creative outlet.
excellent, very good. Well, a real pleasure talking with you. And real Lingo star now, man. I want to get that right. Are you?
Yeah, I'm going by Lingo Star now these days. And I don't know, maybe I'll mix it up again. I've been known to change my name, but I think I'm pretty good. I like the Lingo Star moniker these days.
Excellent, man.
Yeah.
Well, I look forward to seeing you in action on June 2nd and then July 7th. And we're probably going to be back in Littlefield, not too far down the road. So
That's exciting. Can't wait to do it virtually and then live again. It'll be great to see you and hear the crowds and hype them up on stage
excellent.
in person again.
All right. Good to talk with you. All right.
Likewise, Fred.
Take care.
Thanks so much.